Hey guys, my name is Matthew, and today we're going to be doing a review of the EOS R from the perspective of the 60 Mark II, which I've been using for quite a while. Here we go. My main shooter, the 60 Mark II, is in this hand, the EOS R is in this hand, so what am I shooting with today? I don't know, you guys let me know, what do you think? Shoot me a comment if you have an idea about what I might be shooting with, and I'll let you know in the next video whether or not you're right. So in this review, we're gonna be talking about the EOS R. It's a great camera, I really love it, I've been using it for the last week or so, and so I'm gonna be going through the pros of this camera, and I'll also be talking about some of the weaknesses of this camera, specifically through the lens of the 60 Mark II, which is what I've been shooting with for the last year. As far as pros, the EOS R has a bunch of them. It starts with the fact that it's a mirrorless camera, which means right away you have way more focus points and they're not all gathered at the center of the screen, which is awesome. In addition to that, it's also lighter, it's also smaller, and it has an LCD viewfinder, which is amazing because it gives you more information kind of in real time. So it'll darken the image, it'll change for aperture, things like that, which an optical viewfinder just doesn't do. Mirrorless is pretty nice. In several ways, the EOS R just has better specs than the 60 Mark II as well. It has more dynamic range, it has a higher ISO, and the sensor is a little bit bigger. It's also got a newer sensor that has better technology in it. So the image coming out of this camera, in general, a little bit better than the 60 Mark II. Another thing the EOS R has going for it is the RF mount. These lenses are awesome. They have this little ring on them that is really, really cool because you can set it to be aperture, ISO, or shutter speed. It's really nice. Also, they did a great job with the adapter, which opens up all the EF lenses and the EFS lenses, like the Sigma 18-35, which is widely regarded as an amazing video lens. They've done a great job with that, and I love the idea of being able to adapt back to older lenses. Obviously, Canon is widely regarded as having an amazing autofocus, and that's true for the EOS R as well. They've even upped the game one higher by adding eye detect, which I think is a great feature. It just gives you a little bit more assurance that you actually are focused onto the right thing. I love that. The last thing I'll mention is that I was shooting earlier this week and I ran out of battery with the EOS R. What was really nice is I always keep a USB-C cord in my bag because I have a phone and a laptop that both use that cord, and the EOS R was able to be plugged in and I kept shooting with it. That was super, super nice. I really love that they did that feature. I hope they continue it in future cameras. Of course, no camera is perfect, and that's true for the EOS R as well. There's some things that I've really missed this last week using the EOS R instead of the 60 Mark II. The first thing that I'll mention is the thing I already mentioned. I ran out of batteries with my EOS R because I was expecting it to be as good as my 60 Mark II. I'll shoot all day with this camera and not run out of battery. And the EOS R runs out in about a third the time. So I need about 3 batteries for every battery I used to need for the 60 Mark II. Maybe makes up for the weight, but it means I'm carrying more batteries with me. Another thing is some of my lenses look a little crazy on the EOS R. For instance, the 70-200, when you add the extra space for the adapter, it makes the weight off. Because it's a lighter camera, the weight is especially off. It just doesn't feel as natural as it did on my 60 Mark II. And that's kind of a major hit. And going along right with that, I think the 60 Mark II is perfect for my hands. It just fits there. It's really, really nice, and I love that. The EOS R, on the other hand, it's not quite as perfect. My pinky kind of hangs off, and I kind of get my fingers stuck in this little gap sometimes if there's a lens on there. Basically, I love the way the 60 Mark II feels. It's amazing. I also am okay with the way the EOS R feels. It's not quite as good for me personally. My wife, on the other hand, loves the EOS R. She thinks the weight of it and the size of it are perfect for her hands. So that's definitely an opinion thing. Here's something that's not an opinion. I don't know if it's Canon or Microsoft or Adobe or who needs to get their stuff in order. I think it's Canon probably. Why the heck are my CR3s coming out of my EOS R not able to be seen by Microsoft Preview? It's obnoxious. I'm tired of it. I just finally got the CR2s to work for my 60 Mark II so I can see those previews in Microsoft on Windows 10, and I can't see them with my EOS R now. So that's a pain in the butt. And someone needs to get their stuff in order. I'm so tired of this. It's ridiculous. I will say there's sometimes when optical viewfinder is better. That's not really a better or worse thing. It's just a situational thing. So that's just something to note. Okay, last thing that the 60 Mark II is just better for, and that's price. The 60 Mark II started off at a lower price than the EOS R was, but in addition to that, it's now been out on the market for a while, which means that it's a lot cheaper than the EOS R. You can buy it secondhand for a great price really easily. And even if you decide you don't like it, you can always sell it back. So the 60 Mark II is an easy thing to upgrade to because you really could get a great price for it on the secondhand market. The EOS R is a little bit newer, and that means it's pretty expensive to begin with. Plus you're talking about RF lenses if you want to be native and things like that. The price really starts to add up. And it hasn't been out for that long, so there's not that good of a secondhand market yet. We don't know what the floor of this is going to be, and so if you want to buy it, there's a good chance you might lose money if you decide to try and sell it back later. This isn't necessarily a camera that you could, try it out and then sell it back and be certain that you're going to get your money back. Ultimately, I think either one of these cameras is really good. If you're thinking about moving up from a 60 Mark II, you've been shooting on it for a while and you're thinking about the EOS R, I think it's a good move. I've really enjoyed shooting with the EOS R. The menu systems are largely the same. The fact that you can use your EF lenses, bring them up and adapt them without any loss of speed, that's great. I think the EOS R is a good camera, and I think you'd love the choice. If you're thinking about moving up to a 60 Mark II and you're not sure which one of these cameras is better, the 60 Mark II or the EOS R, I'd say shoot for the 60 Mark II. The nice thing about this camera is if you buy it at a good price, you can probably sell it for that same price a couple months later and then move up to the EOS R if you decide that you really liked it but you want the next thing up. I don't think you can go wrong buying the 60 Mark II, but I think you could lose money if you weren't 100% sure that you wanted the EOS R, unless you can just find that for an amazing steal of a price. Either way, I think you're going to love these cameras. Canon has done a great job with both of them. Obviously, they both just raked over the coals in the initial reviews, but after you use them for a while, you have them in your hands, you start to love them. I think they're both good cameras, and they were really designed with the person in mind. Whether you're doing video or photography, both these cameras are great. If you got anything out of this review, please feel free to leave a comment or a like. We put out new content every single week, so if you like this and you want to see more about camera equipment, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.